Lexington teenager is recovering in the hospital after he was seriously hurt in a shooting. Police were called to Maywick Drive around 5:45 last night. They found a 15-year-old with a gunshot wound, took him to the hospital. Police haven't identified a suspect. If you know anything about what happened, call Lexington Police or leave an anonymous tip to Bluegrass Crime Stoppers. Well, the violence prevention group at ONE Lexington said the teenager is in stable condition. They say they know the victim and have been in touch with his family.